Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. As a parent, when you had very small children, you might have said to yourself, when they're infants, toddlers, babies, you said, you know what? Once you get past the sleep thing and get into a rhythm, it'll get easier. It'll get easier. And then, when they're teenagers, it's their self-sufficient. It doesn't get easier. I'm sorry.
It does not.
We like to
that
think
that was a lie, but it was a lie to keep you going.
Yes, just that, like, all babies are cute, because if they weren't, we wouldn't be so
right.
easy
And
to
all
do.
Babies sleep through the night really early on. You don't need to worry.
None of that. We're going to focus on teenagers today, and what's that like for parents? The dynamics between them, the moods and emotions that teenagers exhibit, and how to deal with all of this. And she does just that. She's a licensed psychologist, and she's back with us. Gloria Vanderhorst is on the program. Welcome back. How are you?
I am good, and thank you for having me back. I enjoy talking with you.
Same here. Learned so much, and I have a feeling we're going to unpack a lot here today. There are a lot of challenges nowadays for teenagers.
Tremendous. Yeah.
And we mentioned this a couple of episodes back, that there's a mental health crisis in the United States, and the biggest hit demographic are teenagers.
Yeah.
And more so girls than boys.
Mm-hmm.
COVID. Now we're out of it, but has that had an impact on our teenagers?
It's had a tremendous impact. If you think about it, they've been in that state of school online for 2 years. That's isolation for a teenager. All right. They don't go to school to learn. Let's face it. They don't go to school to learn. They learn when they're in school, and there is a small percentage of them that are highly motivated to learn, but they go to school to socialize. They go to school to bond. They go to school to be known. They go to school to watch others and figure out, okay, do I want to be that? They try on different personalities, and that's normal. That's healthy. You want them to try on different personalities. You probably remember trying on different personalities. I certainly remember trying on different personalities. You would express it with clothing, or you would express it with language, or you'd express it with performance, color of your hair, right? You tried all different things.
I really believe that adults even do that, where you might see somebody who you respect, maybe in your work area, wow, they look like they're nailing it. And you take little pieces from that. You try on their personality. There may be a certain style of clothes that you look at somebody and it's like, yeah, you know what, whether it's a celebrity or somebody and you're kind of doing the same thing. You're finding what's even more comfortable for you. Not like we're copying, we're kind of emulating, being inspired by, right?
No, and it's a good thing to try these different things on, right? How will I know what is me and what really expresses me if I don't give it a try? It's funny. I have this little memory when I started my practice. I had an associate, same height as I was. All right. Same height, same build. We went shopping together. All right. And she tried on this sweater that had a gorgeous design on the front of it, looked perfect on her. I tried on the same sweater. The damn thing folded in half above my waist. Yep. I'm short-waisted. She's long-waisted.
Yep.
It's like we can try on different personalities and different pieces of someone's personality until we find the one that fits us. And think of it. If I'm 2 years in my room with a computer, I'm not trying on anybody's personality. I'm not watching anyone do something that I might want to copy or that I might want to reject. The entire developmental process gets stopped for those 2 years. So,
Mm.
it's natural that
And
I'm going to be anxious or depressed.
I believe an object remain at rest remains at rest. So you're that teenager, you're in your room, you've gotten used to your domain.
Hmm.
Many teenage girls have the same room. It's dark.
Hmm.
It's dark. There's LED lights around the ceiling. There's things on the wall that represent them. But once you get into that mode, you're in it, and now you've become comfortable. It's like your domain, and then you just continue that. So now you pass
Right,
the COVID thing, and you're still doing it. You're still doing it, and the only connection you have, I guess, thankfully, is FaceTiming with your friends,
right,
from time to time.
right,
But then herein lies more challenges because then personalities conflict, and now
right,
you can't even you're not even in person to work through those. Now it's really click,
right, right.
and then there's animosity, and there's a whole other situation going on, which. Now, part of that, I believe, is why the mental health challenges or the crisis is hitting teenage girls now,
Right.
because it's in.
I love your room example, right? Because in a normal world, that girl spends what, maybe 10, 15% of her time in that room because she's out at school, she's out with her friends, she goes to her room maybe to do her homework and head to bed, but
Yep.
she's not spending a lot of time in that room. She's decorated it the way she absolutely wants it.
Yep.
And yes, it's her space, but she's not confined there. But in the pandemic, she's confined there.
Mm.
It is like a prison, right? If you think of prisoners who sit looking at the same four walls, it drives you crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like we said, they continue doing it. It just
Right.
becomes the norm. Becomes
It
the
does
norm.
become the norm.
Yeah.
And then FaceTime is really not a good way to engage in communication. More than 90% of our communication is nonverbal. So we're reading body posture, we're reading tone, we're
Hmm.
reading movement, and that defines the communication, not the words. The words are, I think, about 3% of the importance of communication.
Yep.
It is the body that communicates. So if I just have your face on this little square, okay, I'm not getting you. I'm not relating to you. I'm relating to a poster, right? And that's deadpan, right? I don't get the emotional impact. You don't get the emotional impact. We need to be in physical proximity with each other. We need to be with a buddy. We need to be watching the crowd. All right. We need to see the entire landscape
Yeah.
of kids at that point. Adults need it too, but for
Sure.
teenagers, it's critical.
Me personally, I love music, and I will go to any place that has live music.
Uh
I
huh.
don't care whether I like country,
Mm-hmm.
classical, hip
Okay.
hop. It doesn't even matter to me. I just like the vibe. I like the
Uh huh.
energy of the people around it, enjoying
Right.
it. And I'm just bringing that up because that is the feeling when you're
It is.
around people,
Right.
and especially we're all enjoying something together. So we are,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, I don't know that person over there, that person over there, that one in front of me, but we are
Don't
connected.
have to.
We're
Right.
we're
You
connected in a
don't
way.
have to know them to get the benefit of interacting with another person. And then that nurtures you. It
Yeah,
really feeds you
yeah.
emotionally. I mean, that's why we like going
I
to
I
these
I'd
things.
say I'm addicted. I'm addicted to live music. It's like I'm gonna sit down probably tonight and plan out my calendar of concert here. This is going there.
That's
Fortunately,
great.
I'm connected to a venue that is literally a 2-minute walk from my place. So,
Super,
oh, and the band Chicago is going to be there in 2 weeks, and Pat Benatar, and
super.
yeah, whatever. I don't care what it is. I
Now you'll find me at little Baroque soirees. There's a woman two, 3, 4 blocks away who does these Baroque concerts, brings in people from all over the world,
mm,
and 26 chairs. That's the size of the audience every time. So you get this very personal interaction with the musician. So
yeah,
I'm with you,
yeah.
right?
There's
Go
just
out,
there,
do these things.
there's something there, and unfortunately, teenagers don't get it.
Right.
It's because you don't know it until you know it. They didn't experience that or get the feel for that. How about dynamics between teenagers and parents? How does that look like to you? What can you share?
Well, so the pandemic has impacted this tremendously as well, because if I'm not going out to school and I'm staying in my room most of the day online, trying to do schoolwork, I'm fried. I'm fried by the end of that time. And
Mm,
I don't really want to interact with anybody. And so teenagers are isolating themselves more. It means the parent really has to seriously invest in going to the teenager. Teenagers used to what we call catch and release, right? So they come to you and then they go distant from you. And they come to you and they go distant from you. That's normal. That's natural. They're not coming. They're not coming because they're fried.
wow.
And why would I bother interacting, particularly with someone who's my parent, right? Not my buddy, but my parent who knows, right? Maybe they can be critical of me. Maybe they can put me to work. Maybe they could be interested in me.
Mm,
That would be wonderful if they could be interested in me, but I'm not going to take that risk.
yeah. And it's almost and by the way, I love the catch and release. So true.
Hmm.
Catch and release. So true.
Hmm.
Um, it's almost a what's in it for me mentality. All right, mom or dad's coming. What do I get out of this? It's
Hmm.
like, unfortunately, and it's also as a parent, the questions you ask. If
Well,
you
parents don't know what to do,
yes,
right? These kids have been sitting home for 2 years, and parents really don't know what to do. And they'll get a variety of different reactions from their child. So, do I go draw this child out of the room? Do I bring a game into the room and, get silly and force them to engage
mm-hmm,
in it? And people they're trying everything in order to recover from this. And they're also thinking, okay, we're out of the woods now. They're going back to school. So, right? Maybe I don't have to do anything. Maybe it's not that big of a problem. And so we miss the messages, the subtle communication that's coming from our teenager that says, I'm still depressed. I'm not having a good time, even though I'm back with my friends. I'm still troubled. And
mm.
we have to start talking to them.
How do we engage? How do you engage your teenager? For example, I'm not going to say the worst thing you could say, but the thing you could say is not going to get you anywhere. Yeah, how was school today?
Yeah, you don't want to ask a question. Think about it. Questions are threatening. You don't want to ask a question. You
Mm,
want to make a statement. So you share your day, right?
mm,
So
mm,
you would say, I interviewed this psychologist today and we were talking about teenagers and here's her idea about teenagers. And then you shut up. The problem with parents is that we want to keep going.
yeah,
We think, oh, if our child isn't responding right away, we should fill the gap.
it's
Never fill the gap.
because we're
Never
thirsty.
fill the gap.
It's so true. We're thirsty. I want
Yeah,
to engage in my kid. Come on, give me more. Give me more. Yeah,
right.
tap the brakes.
The other thing is that kids will talk if you're not facing them. So out
Hmm.
taking the dog for a walk,
Hmm.
out in the car, invite
Yes.
a kid to run any errand or take a kid any place that they want to go. They will talk to you in the car because everybody's facing forward.
I hear
All
from
right.
a lot of friends that that is where they best engage. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's in the car. It's in the
That's
car.
right.
And I have to agree with you. And
Yeah.
side note, you're also trapped.
Well, it is, but it isn't that. It is, I know that mom or dad are going to be keeping their eyes on the road. So I'm not going to have that sensation of being grilled,
Sure.
being,
Yep.
looked at in this way of, I'm desperate to communicate with you. It's much easier. So anytime that you can do something where the two of you are side by side, not facing each other, even sit on the couch side by side, and don't bother to turn your head and look at that kid.
Mm,
All
yeah.
right? Talk at
Yeah.
the wall
Or
over there.
yeah, like or if you're in the kitchen, you're doing your thing, they're over there. You don't have to,
Right,
as long as you have the dialogue. I once
right.
said this to my daughter. Now, it's about maybe a year and a couple of months. I would say, and I don't say anything unless I genuinely mean it. And I would
Mm-hmm,
say, your hair looks great today. No, it doesn't.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm,
I would try. I just wanted to know. It really looks great. Like
mm-hmm.
what product did you use in your hair? I don't know. So one day I changed it all around and I said, what is it like to have the shiniest hair in the world? And right away, oh, well, if I'm using this stuff in here. I just started using blah, 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 blah. I just changed my approach and what a difference that made.
And it worked.
And it
That's
worked.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, as a teenager, it's hard to take in a compliment.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard to take in a compliment because you're judging yourself almost all the time.
True.
All right, do I look right? Am I tall enough? Am I skinny enough? Am I strong enough? Is my skin tone the right color? Do I have any blemishes on
Mm-hmm.
my face? Um,
Yeah.
they're judging themselves constantly. So
And
compliments are very hard to take in.
and that's I believe that plays into why the mental health crisis is so high for girls right now because of all of that. This is one piece of it. Body dysmorphia. There's another
Right,
one. Being critical of the way you look, feeling out of
right,
place. Um, I also believe it's why a lot of teenage girls now just wear big sweatshirts,
right.
baggy
Yeah.
sweats, which,
Hmm.
whatever. It could be 90 degrees out. That's what they're wearing
That's right.
because they're,
Right. But they're going to cover everything up. And if you think about all of the imagery that girls get hit with, they're constantly hit with these beautiful, skinny, tall bodies with perfect breasts and perfect butts. And you're not going to fit into that category, right? Less than 1% of the teenage girls are going to fit into that category.
and
And so you immediately want to cover yourself up
yeah.
so that you don't feel a sense of embarrassment or get this sense that everybody is watching me and judging me.
So here's I guess it would be a pinnacle question, Gloria. How do you make the determination where it's time to call somebody for help, like yourself or a
Right.
mental health professional?
Right. So anxiety is pretty easy to see if you're really looking
Okay.
for it. All right. The girl who is worried, the boy who is sullen, the child that spends all their time in their room and really doesn't want to come out, the emotional expression. There was an interview on the television recently of, I think, a 12-year-old boy, all right, and in distress, and he would just be sobbing
Mm.
at different times. So it's really paying attention to the body expressions and how they invest their time. If I'm isolating, then I'm in trouble. because I've already been isolated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So if I'm adding to it by still hanging in my room, not wanting to do anything with anybody, not coming out to play family games or, go to things in the car with other people, I'm in trouble. And then you want to actually look at your child, girls in particular, all right? They will engage in cutting, just little slips in their skin at different
Oh,
places.
yes.
So you really want to be able to see that girl's body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be
That is
curious.
much more prevalent than many believe.
Right,
Unfortunately, there's only one way they're even knowing that they could do that: social media. That's
right,
where pick up on everything. And many girls will say that they're doing that just to feel something,
right.
right?
Yeah, that's exactly the stimulation.
What
Is I stimulate myself by that, and it's not a deep cut,
no,
right? It's just a more like a scratch.
yeah. With the time we have left, and thank you. This is very impactful and insightful. What do you do if your teen, you're at the point, you've made the decision as a parent,
Right.
got to talk to somebody. Yeah. They're just, they need some help. And your teen is defiant. It says, I'm not talking to anybody. I don't share my feelings. I'm not doing that. Where do you go there?
Yeah, I think you go with the teen. And you make it as easy as possible. So there are a lot of people doing work online because of the pandemic.
Mm,
So you make it as easy as possible and you go with that
okay.
team. And if you get resistance, and I've had this experience where the teen absolutely will not get in the car, right? Then you bring the therapy to them. So you can engage the school counselor at that point. So the school counselor actually goes and finds your teenager, brings your teenager out of class, or does some things with your teenager
Mm,
during different parts of the school day. So you take action. No isn't a proper response. If your teenager were bleeding, right, and they said, I don't want to get a band-aid or go to the hospital, would you say, okay,
right.
all
Huh.
right, no band-aids, no hospital?
Wow.
Right. And in certain situations, you actually do take that person to the emergency room. Just depends on
Yeah.
the depth of the struggle that they're going through.
Wow. And I love what you said. Guys, sometimes we don't think of it, the services that are available in the school, but to make the guidance counselor aware,
Hmm.
now your teen is in their domain.
Right.
If it's going to see somebody, you get in the car, that's just office,
Hmm.
walking in there,
Hmm.
and then also doing a Zoom video. Here,
Right.
I'm gonna be with you. We're gonna start it off together. All you gotta do is look at the screen and talk to somebody as much as you want to, and then leave it
Right.
at that.
And so many schools nowadays have these small guidance groups, maybe 6, 8, 10, that meet with a counselor on a regular basis. So
Sure.
kind of making the group aware
Yeah.
that this teenager is struggling with or in trouble with, so that they get group support is really
Great stuff today. It's funny, I'll tell everybody we weren't really sure what direction we were going to go in.
good to know. Right.
We're already out of time, and we could continue if we had the time for another half hour because it's so important, and there's so many different camera angles when it comes to teenagers. They are so complex and
They are.
ever changing, especially add in COVID, add in
Hmm.
substance abuse, very prevalent in schools now as well. How do we find you? Your website is your name, right, Gloria?
Yeah, my website is www.drvanderhorst. So it's www.drvanderhorst.com.
And
Easy.
I mean this with all sincerity. You're amazing.
Thank you. I enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, same here. You really have a grasp on all of this, and you make it very clear and easy to understand and relatable.
Thank you.
I could see, teens being cool with you because, you're real.
I enjoy them. That's for sure.
Yeah. And it shows. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk soon.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.